Hey everyone, and welcome. Last video we asked you guys for 5,000 likes to release this new cutting edge route. You guys absolutely destroyed that like button, so here it is. We found a new path Korean professional players that are attending this year's World Championship have been starting to use on the current patch 9.20. Most notably, this has been executed by the jungle god himself, Griffin Tarzan, as well as an amazing jungler Canyon who plays for Damwong Gaming, who really should be better known. He's an absolute beast. So let's jump straight into it and uncover this new cutting edge strategy being used by the best in the world. Let's first start with a replay from Damwon Gaming's Canyon, who is currently bootcamping in Europe as his team is qualified for the World Play-ins. He's playing Talia jungle against Lee Sin. He chooses to start at his red buff, and then moves to his raptors. Okay, nothing too unusual so far. But then after doing his raptors, he heads to his Krugs. Well, this is definitely strange. You see, when a jungler starts at their red, it means they'll be pathing towards the blue side of their jungle. This is typically done by doing red, Krugs, raptors, then heading to their blue. But by Canyon doing his red, then raptors, he's now heading to his Krugs, which is in the opposite direction of his blue side jungle. This is starting to look super inefficient, so what exactly is going on here? Here's what's next level. Canyon isn't planning on heading to his blue side jungle. After he does his Krugs, he's either going to attack the enemy's blue buff or the enemy's bot lane. In this case, he chooses to dive the enemy bot lane. We can see a similar concept being used in another one of Canyon's replays. This time, it's being used against him. Kha'Zix starts at his red, then does his Krugs, and then his raptors. Okay, everything seems normal so far. But then he chooses to invade the enemy's blue buff, instead of transitioning to the top side of the map. Again, let's jump into a replay from Griffin Tarzan, who is currently still in Korea. Echo starts at his raptors, then does his red, and then his Krugs. Instead of recalling and heading to his blue side jungle, which is normal in the current meta, he again looks to attack the bot lane. So what's going on here? We have replays from different regions and different pros all doing something that's counterintuitive to our current understanding of the meta. Follow me as I take you through the process of making sense of this. There are a couple things each one of these replays have in common. In the first replay, notice how at the end of the third camp, his bot lane is pushed up. Interesting. In the second replay, again, we see how the bot lane is pushed up. We're starting to see a pattern. In the third replay, again, his bot lane is pushed up. Okay, clearly this has something to do with it. Here's another pattern. In the first replay, watch the side lanes as Canyon kills his red. The enemy bot lane shows early, while top lane is missing, indicating that the enemy Lee Sin is getting a leash at his red on the opposite side of the map. Again, in the second replay, watch the side lanes as Kha'Zix kills his red. Sure enough, the enemy bot lane shows early, while top lane is missing, indicating that the enemy jungler is getting a leash at his red on the opposite side of the map. And in the third replay, the enemy bot invades while top is missing, meaning the enemy jungler is starting on the opposite side again. So there are two conditions that are being met when this strategy is being executed. First, your bot lane is pushed up when you finish your third camp. And second, the enemy jungler is starting on the opposite side of the map. So what does all this mean, and how are these two things connected? First, you need to understand a very important fundamental concept. In the current meta, a jungler will path towards the opposite direction that they started on. So in each of these replays, we identified the enemy jungler was starting at their red on the top side of the map. This means they'll be pathing towards their blue, to the bottom side of the map. Are you starting to see why this is a problem? In each one of these replays, our bottom lane is pushed up and overextended. This means they're completely vulnerable to a gank by the enemy jungler who's pathing directly to them. Herein lies the answer to why this route is being used. By the time you finish your third camp, there are no more camps for you to kill on this side of the map. Usually, you would begin transitioning to the top side. However, that would leave your bot lane vulnerable to a gank from the enemy jungler who's pathing to the bottom lane. So instead of pathing to the top side, you either position yourself to counter gank bottom lane, or use the fact that your bottom lane is pushed up and has lane priority to invade the enemy's blue. Again, by invading the blue, you're helping to protect your bot lane by spotting the enemy jungler. Okay, so this is some high level stuff, but I'm sure some of you are spotting some weaknesses with it and have some questions. For example, by executing this strategy, aren't you just leaving your entire blue side jungle open to being stolen by the enemy jungler? And the answer is yes, you are, but it's on purpose. Sure, if you were to head to your own blue side jungle, you'd find your camps are stolen. This is why you want to invade the enemy's blue side jungle after your third camp. This way, you're stealing his jungle if he's stealing yours, equalizing the position. Longtime viewers will recognize this as a form of vertical jungling. Vertical jungling is simply when junglers choose to invade each other's buffs, causing them to farm vertically from top to bottom instead of the usual horizontal farming from left to right. When vertical jungling occurs, it causes the side lanes to be isolated and under complete control of each jungler. For example, in this replay, Kha'Zix does red, Krugs, into Raptors. He knows the enemy jungler started topside and will be pathing to his bot lane. At the same time, he knows his bot lane is overextended, so he invades the enemy's blue to help protect his bot lane from a gank. Now, if the enemy jungler were to invade his blue, it would actually cause vertical jungling, which would be in Kha'Zix's favor since he is now isolated and has complete control over his bot lane. This can set up easy dives, which we saw Canyon do on Talia. Okay, so sure, if we execute this strategy, we leave our blue side jungle open to being invaded, but we don't actually lose anything since we'll steal the enemy's jungle. Additionally, it would cause vertical jungling, which would isolate the bot lane for us, allowing them to continue pushing, possibly set up a dive, and overall let them play super aggressive with no threat of being ganked. Some of you may still be skeptical though, and be thinking of another problem. Let's say we choose to execute the strategy. We take our red, Raptors, and Krugs. We identify that our bot lane is overextended and move to counter gank as the enemy jungler is pathing towards them. Some of you are probably thinking, aren't we falling behind in farm? We're spending a lot of time waiting here when we could be on our blue side jungle clearing camps. I won't lie to you, you are losing a bit of farm, but this is made up by the fact that you cleared your Krugs and Raptors in your opening route. For those unaware, Raptors and specifically Krugs gives the most golden experience of any camp. By clearing these two camps in your opening route, you not only get this big boost in golden experience, but you also cause them to respawn earlier at a higher level worth even more experience. It also removes the 30% XP debuff on the ancient Krug. Essentially, yes, we're losing a bit of farm, but we're making up for it by clearing these hyper valuable camps early on. Okay, I'm sure some of you still may not be convinced. Another problem you may be thinking is, aren't you hard committing to this strategy? How do you even know your bot lane will be overextended or that the enemy will invade your blue when you start at your red? Here's the thing, you're actually not committing to the strategy. Let me explain. If we look at Canyon on Nidalee, he does red, Raptors, into Krugs. If we check the nearby side lane, we can see that our teammate Jace isn't pushed or vulnerable to a gank. So instead of heading top and committing to the strategy, we can simply recall and head to our blue. We can use this exact same concept in a slightly different manner. In this case, Tarzan starts at his red and then does Raptors next. It's at this point he can choose to do his Krugs, then look to invade the enemy's blue or attack top lane, executing the new strategy. Instead, he decides against it and just transitions to his blue side jungle as normal. Essentially, there are two different points you can bail out of committing to this strategy. First, after your Raptors, where you can just transition to the other side as normal, and second, after your Krugs, where you can recall and head to your blue side as normal. This makes this strategy extremely versatile and flexible, since as you clear your first 3 camps, you can watch the map and only execute the route under ideal conditions. Alright, so let's quickly recap. The core part of this new strategy is to clear your red, Raptors, and Krugs. While doing your red, you check where the enemy jungler started. If the enemy is starting on the opposite side of the map, then it means he's pathing to your nearby side lane. As you finish clearing your red side jungle, check the side lane to see if they're pushing and overextended. If they are, you can either invade the enemy's blue or counter gank to protect them. Even though you leave your own blue side open to being invaded, that's okay, as you can invade the enemy's blue as a response, which results in vertical jungling and isolating the nearby matchup, keeping them safe as they play aggressive. Additionally, spending some time trying to counter gank isn't as big of an issue as you'd think, since you cleared your Raptors and Krugs, which are worth the most golden experience. On top of this, you never have to feel like you're committing to the strategy. You can choose to bail on it after your Raptors by simply transitioning to your blue side jungle, or after your Krugs by recalling and heading to your blue.
Alright, that's going to do it for this guide. Be on the lookout for this strategy being executed at Worlds. Also, we'd love to hear which jungler you're rooting for. Let us know in the comment section below, as well as any questions you might have. And if you want to improve and start climbing the ladder, you can start by subscribing to our YouTube channel. We release high quality guides specifically designed to help you become a better player fast. In the meantime, you can check out some of our other videos, which I know you'll love. As always, good luck and have fun on Summoner's Rift.